The smallest island in the world could end the largest war in human history. Not because of what it has, because of what it represents. Taiwan is not a military problem. It is not a diplomatic problem. It is a strategic trap, and every major power on Earth has already stepped inside it. I wrote about this 2,500 years ago. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. China has been executing this principle for decades. Patient, precise, invisible. While the world watched Ukraine burn, Beijing was studying every Western reaction, every sanction, every weapon shipment, taking notes. And Washington? Washington has been telling Taiwan it will defend it, without ever committing to how, when, or with what. That is not a strategy. That is a promise written in sand at low tide. Here is what no news channel will tell you. The war over Taiwan may never be fought with missiles. It may be won before the first shot is fired, and the side that understands this has already been winning for 30 years. The side that doesn't? It's about to learn the most expensive lesson in modern history. I have watched empires make this mistake before. I have watched them lose before they even knew the game had started. Subscribe, because what I'm about to show you changes how you see every headline you will read from this moment forward. The trap is already set. Let me show you exactly how it was built. To understand why Taiwan is the most dangerous flashpoint on Earth, you need to stop thinking like a journalist and start thinking like a general. Here are the facts, cold, stripped of politics. Taiwan sits 180 kilometers off the coast of mainland China. It produces over 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductors. Without Taiwanese chips, every modern weapons system, every smartphone, every financial network on the planet slows to a halt. This is not an island. This is the central node of the global economy, wrapped in a political contradiction that has been deferred for 75 years. China's position is simple. Taiwan is a rogue province. Reunification is not a goal. It is a historical inevitability. Beijing has never renounced the use of force. It has simply chosen its moment with discipline. The United States maintains what it calls strategic ambiguity, a deliberate refusal to confirm whether it would militarily defend Taiwan. For decades, this was considered brilliant policy. Keep China guessing, deter without committing. But here is what changed. China stopped guessing. Between 2020 and 2024, the People's Liberation Army conducted the largest military buildup in its modern history. Naval exercises simulating a Taiwan blockade, missile systems positioned within first strike range, air incursions into Taiwan's defense zone, not provocations, but rehearsals. Meanwhile, Taiwan's own military readiness has been described by analysts as dangerously underfunded, a fortress with a cracked wall. And Washington's response? More weapons sales, more diplomatic statements, more ambiguity. A board was set 75 years ago, and one side has been moving pieces in silence while the other was still reading the rules. The critical mistake, and there is one, devastating and clear, is about to become visible. The broken rule is one of the oldest in my book, and it was broken not by one side, but by two. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Washington knows its own capabilities. It does not know China. Not the real China, the one that has been planning this for 30 years, that watched the Soviet Union collapse and drew a single conclusion: never show your hand until the moment is irreversible. But China has broken a rule too, a subtler one. Move not unless you see an advantage. Use not your troops unless there is something to be gained. Fight not unless the position is critical. Beijing has allowed its timeline to become visible. The military buildup, the wolf warrior diplomacy, the open declarations about reunification. These are not strength, they are impatience. And impatience, in strategy, is always a signal of internal pressure. Xi Jinping has a domestic problem, a slowing economy, a real estate crisis, a population that is aging faster than it can be replaced. Historically, every leader facing this combination has looked outward. Caesar did it. Napoleon did it. The pressure of internal collapse has triggered more wars than any ideological ambition in history. Here is the revelation nobody is making. Taiwan may not be China's strategic objective. Taiwan may be China's distraction, a nationalist cause designed to unify a restless population behind a flag rather than an economy. They think they are capturing a pawn. They may be sacrificing their queen. And Washington, by refusing to be clear, has made the trap impossible to dismantle. What would I have done? I will tell you. And it is not what any general in Washington or Beijing is doing. The first move belongs to the United States, and it is not military. It is economic. Taiwan's semiconductors are the most powerful weapon on this board, and no one is using them as a weapon. I would have made it explicit. Any military action against Taiwan triggers an immediate, permanent severance of semiconductor supply chains to every nation that does not condemn the aggression. Not sanctions. Severance. Permanent. Irreversible. China cannot replace Taiwanese chip production in under a decade. Its military modernization depends on it. Its consumer economy depends on it. You do not need to fire a single missile if you make the cost of the first move economically unsurvivable. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. The second move belongs to Taiwan itself, and Taiwan has failed to make it. A nation that controls 90% of the world's advanced semiconductor production should be the most diplomatically fortified territory on Earth. Instead, it remains formally unrecognized by most of the world. I would have used every chip, every factory, every supply agreement as a brick in a wall of international legitimacy. Make yourself so economically indispensable that your destruction becomes everyone's destruction. The third move is the one no one has the discipline to make. Silence. Stop the declarations. Stop the military posturing for cameras. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night. Every public threat China makes weakens its own position. It gives the world time to prepare, to align, to counter. The board is not lost, but the window for these moves is closing. And what comes after that window shuts, that is where history gets written in blood. Here's what comes next. Not opinion, strategic inevitability. China will not invade Taiwan tomorrow. It will not invade next year. But every month that passes without a clear Western deterrent is a month Beijing uses to make the cost of intervention higher. The rehearsals become doctrine. The doctrine becomes capability. The capability becomes temptation. And temptation, in the hands of a leader facing internal collapse, becomes decision. The Athenians made this calculation once. They were the dominant naval power of their age. They believed their strength was so obvious that no enemy would dare challenge it. Sparta studied them for 30 years in silence, then dismantled them in a generation. The Thucydides trap has a name because it has a pattern. And the pattern does not care about nuclear weapons, aircraft carriers, or satellite surveillance. It only cares about whether the rising power believes the cost of waiting exceeds the cost of acting. When that calculation tips, and history tells me it always tips, no amount of ambiguity will stop it. Now the lesson. Because this is never only about nations. You are watching two powers locked in a conflict neither fully wants, driven by pride, by domestic pressure, by the fear of appearing weak. I have seen this in every dynasty, every empire, every boardroom, every relationship that collapsed not from hatred, but from the inability to be clear. Ambiguity is not strategy. Ambiguity is fear wearing the mask of wisdom. Be clear about what you will defend. Be clear about what it will cost to attack you, and build your value so deep into the world around you that your destruction becomes unthinkable. The trap is already set. The only question is who has the discipline not to step into it. I wrote these rules 2,500 years ago. The tragedy is not that the world forgot them. The tragedy is that the world never truly learned them. Subscribe. The next move on this board is already happening.